Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Fantasy Fiends podcast. I'm your host, Stevie Collier, and I'm here with my co-host, Andy Peliquin. And today, we have Brock E. Deskins. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes.
Awesome, Deskins. I was really afraid that I was going to really wreck that up. And today, Brock, are we going to be discussing the Sorcerer's Ascension?
I think so.
Okay, great. And so, Brock, we usually start out each of these podcasts with something cool that we did that week. I always forget to give the author the warning for something cool that we did this past week. For me, I just got back from a long trip to California. I was going out there to help my parents move out of their apartment and move it all back to Texas because they have a home in Texas and a home in California. Well, we get out there and we're in the sunlight and everything's just great. And you know what? They decide they change their mind. So I get out there for no reason and it quickly becomes a vacation for me. So I apologize to the viewers and listeners because that is why I was gone last week. And that's why the schedule's. I know we just love California so much. It's such an amazing place.
I got a house in Texas.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Is that where you are now?
No, I'm in Oregon now.
Oh,
I
okay.
bought a house down there when I was stationed at Fort Hood. That was when you couldn't sell anything, so I just rented it out.
Oh yeah, is it still rented out?
When I moved? So
where is this house?
it's in where's that damn thing?
It's a pretty big ass.
Like Fort Hood. It's Copper's Cove.
Okay,
Kempner.
yeah.
That's what it's called.
I know where Copper's Cove is.
Kempner is a little tiny town, but yeah, it's over there at Kempner.
My family's filled with military, so a lot of them lived in Fort Hood for a long time. So today, Andy, do you have anything cool that happened to you this past week?
You mean since 2 days ago?
Yeah, I know you missed me.
Yeah, okay, so since this time 2 days ago, I guess I've made about 15,000 words of progress on this novella that I've been writing, a prequel novella, and I officially made up my mind on what the next project is.
Dun, da, da, da.
Yeah. So I just finished writing the 6-book Assassin series that I started in 2014, and I finished the last book last week, and so I was like, oh, so what do I do now? And now I know what I'm going to do, so I'm super excited about outlining it. It is already super badass. I've only got like a quarter of the outline going, but I'm super stoked to write. It's going to be multiple point of view characters. It's going to be 4 point of view characters, which I've never written before. It's always been 1. It's going to be younger protagonists, 2 female and 2 male character point of views, and it's going to be these 4 weird intertwined stories that's epic and grand and far more ambitious than anything I've ever done before. So super nervous about it, super excited to start working on it.
My mom always said if you're nervous about something, it's usually something you want to do. It's something you want. And when we talked after last time's podcast, I figured you were going to go with this option. So good for you, man. I've been in that limbo before of like, oh, what am I going to write next? And it's never fun. Brock, is there anything cool that happened last week? Any news?
No.
No. Well, do you want to introduce your 2 dogs? I see them running around.
Yeah, it's on my profile pics, or some of them you'll see them too. Mojo, he's a healer boxer mix, and Cersei, I think she's a healer border collie mix, I think.
Oh yeah, I see them. They're beautiful on your Amazon profile pic.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm a big dog fan myself. I have a white husky, and he's right here beside me right now. And today we have a really cool topic today. And Brock, it was your idea for this, right?
Of what?
of this week's topic.
Oh, I guess so. Well, Andy kind of helped me with it.
Okay.
Yeah, Brock was telling me about some of the topics in this book. It was so interesting. He was saying that when he's writing these stories, when you're writing a story, you have to sort of start and finish it.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the themes of his book is that it's the characters are facing these challenges and injustices and trials and tribulations, and they don't get the happy ending that maybe, you know, that we as the reader or they as the characters want. And it made me think, you know, about life. We're always trying to reach the happy ending, or, you know, we're always working towards something, but life isn't all happy endings. You know, it's not about that neat, clean, concise, you know, the end, because there is no the end in real life. The story continues on, um, even after we're dead and gone. You know, the loved ones that we leave behind, they're still affected by our passing, and then, you know, whatever legacy we have, we pass on to the people around us. So it's like we're a footnote or a chapter in this massive book that never ends. And it was just sort of this, I felt so small.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like staring up at the stars at night and realizing that, you know, you're just a speck in the universe.
Yeah, just a speck in the universe. I don't think that way. I always think, you know, well, you know, I have thought that way, that I'm just a speck in the universe. That's so. Today's topic is really interesting, and I like how you said that. Great. Now my mind just shut down. That, you know, life comes to an end, and to me, I there's this quote, and it's by John Rohn, and he said, life is risky in itself, and he's basically saying you should be risky in life, and life is risky. You don't get out of it alive, and I just love that, you know. So it's like that you only live once kind of thing. So I'm actually trying to get the commercial up because I know we got to do that commercial here in a minute. Afterward, okay, yeah. And Brock, this is a topic that is talked about in the Sorcerer's Ascension.
Yeah, it pretty much follows throughout the whole series. It's a lot of ups and downs, a lot of downs, and what was the ending until I just recently released a 9th book to the series, starting off with the new series name. A lot of readers were pretty unhappy with the previous ending, with where I had ended the series originally, because it wasn't all wrapped up in a neat little package, and our hero didn't get the fairy tale ending. He kind of got shafted a bit.
Is this dark fantasy?
No, I don't consider it dark fantasy. It might, some aspects of it might touch up on dark fantasy, but no, I've read a little bit of dark fantasy, and no, I don't think so. I don't think it ever gets really that dark. But
You know, I will say, Brock, I read that one book. I can't remember the title. The one with the gunpowder and all of that, and that had the classic dark fantasy flavor. Dark fantasy is a really broad genre. Like, it's more of the overall feel of the book. And I mean, I loved it. I loved the book. I think I left a 5-star review on Amazon and Goodreads because it was just such an awesome read. But it was definitely dark fantasy, at least that one. So I don't know how the rest of the stories are.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, because dark fantasy, you don't have these, you know, like your blonde, white nobleman character. You know, you've got maybe the assassin, the thief, the criminal, the thug, the conniving vizier, whatever it is, sort of the bad guy, or there's a lot more anti-heroes, but then also just the overall tone of the book is much darker. So
okay.
I don't know about all of your books, but I know that one definitely fit into the dark fantasy category nicely.
Yeah, that's the Empire of Mass series, and yeah. I definitely kind of aimed for that in that series. It's not something I aimed for in the Sorcerer's Path. Of course, I wasn't aiming for anything when I started the book, but I just kind of followed along after it almost. But yeah, with that description, I still wouldn't classify it wholeheartedly as a dark fantasy, but there are certainly elements of it that touch.
That is what you said when you started your book. Like, you didn't really have was that an end result? Like, you didn't know what you had planned?
I had absolutely no idea it was planned. I was in my own little bit of a dark time, and I was like, I really need to do something constructive. I'm not one of those people that can just sit around, and I need to do something useful, constructive with my time. And I thought, I got this vague story in my head, so I think I'll just sit down and start typing it out. and I got to the end of the book. I think it took me all of a month to write it.
Wow, that's actually
And
pretty good for a first book.
and and I was like, wow, I'm not even anywhere near the end of this thing. So I started the second book. 6 weeks later, that one was done. It's like, yeah, that's not the end.
So
And
this world was pretty big in your head before you even started writing it.
it
Or
grew
it grew,
with the
okay.
story. I mean, I had a rough continent kind of drawn, thought out, but it definitely filled in a lot of details as I went along.
Well, I'm definitely right there with you. When I started the Four Territories, it was a hobby, an idea that I got from a friend while we were drinking on the beach. And he was like, I had this dream. I had a dream. And I was like, well, can I have that dream? And he said, yes. So I took it, and the story, like you, it grew. It became something completely different with just a faint idea of what it was when I started. Um, and I fell in love with it. And Brock, I totally agree with you. I cannot stay still. I'm a creator. I believe I'm already pretty prosperous for a 25-year-old, and I want to continue that prosperity through my creativity. And ever since I was young, I was a creative person, and I could never stay still. I had to be doing something. Even at 15 years old, if I stayed too long on World of Warcraft, I felt like shit. So I've always been that kind of person where I have to be doing something productive. And I I'm a very big person on personal development, and today's topic is really interesting to me. And I actually want to read the way Andy sent it to me. Let me pull this up. It was the way he worded what we're talking about today. And Brock said that the sorceress's path is about triumphing over challenges and injustice and still not getting the happy ending you hope for, which is the book you were talking about, I'm guessing. And Andy's topic for today is life isn't all neat, happy endings. Like, even if the things don't work out the way we want, we still have to push through and keep working to make it happen. Seriously, he just described the career of an author. You just have to keep writing books and books. I just released a book that was, I would say, 1/16 of the success the Four Territories was. Did it get me down? Yeah, it got me down. In my opinion, this is the universe, this is God showing me, it's just testing me like, oh, do you really want to be an author? Do you really want to be an author? Write another damn book. And so that's where I am now. I'm finishing up my fourth novel. Yeah. So, and it's people like you, Brock, who have so many books under your wing that that's like, I gotta keep writing these books faster. So I may be a positive thinker in life, but I'm not stupid. I'm aware of these failures that I get hit with sometimes, but I'm always going to jump over them. This quickly became like like a happy-go-lucky podcast.
Support group.
Yeah, support group. It's just, Andy knows, it's just the way I am.
Yeah.
But so, Brock, have you faced any hardships being an author? Since you have had so much success already.
I don't know if it's better that I had the early success, or if it had been an uphill climb the whole time. My last three books, I didn't really get down until the release of my last book, because the three prior to it, that whole Empire of Mass, I mean, I just practically couldn't give the damn things away, which was really upsetting because I think it was some of my best writing. But that huge audience that I had back when I was releasing subsequent books in that Sorcerer's Path, I lost them somehow. I didn't have that constant connection. I didn't have my email list or any of that.
Really?
So I lost all those readers, and they kind of went on to other things. And so when I started writing things outside of that series, it started, those books came out on that kind of, when the well started drying up for us indie authors. And so when I released this ninth book to the Sorcerer's Path, it was like, this is my make or break. It doesn't do well. If I can't sell this book, which sold so well, it's part of the series that sold so well, then I don't know how I'm going to be able to sell anything ever again. And of course, it didn't balloon like it used to with the old Sorcerer's Path books when I released them. When I released a new Sorcerer's Path book back in 2012, 2013, 2014, my sales went up insanely, 100, 150 books a day. And which for me was really exciting. Of course, this last one didn't do that, but it has gone up. And it made me feel better. So I haven't completely given up. And of course, I've thought of 3 new books, 3 new stories since then. So it's like I can't give up because I can't stop. There's no way I can stop.
So when you say you can't stop, are we talking monetarily or because you're addicted to being an author and this is your passion?
It's both. I never had a real big creative outlet growing up. I worked with my hands a lot and did things like that. And the thought of writing a book never occurred to me until it occurred to me.
I think that's something that a lot of us authors have.
I mean, I never saw myself being an author. I had no background in it. I had no education in it. And so I started grabbing books and looking to see how it worked. I mean, the first 5 books I wrote, I didn't even have internet access.
Wow.
I had to grab things from the public library and encyclopedias and going through old school.
Brock, you are definitely an inspiration to people like me who, I'm very aware that I had it very easy. When I left college, or I didn't leave, when I graduated from college, I had my own apartment. And I actually moved back in with my parents so I could save money for a house. And my parents are seriously, if not 100%, 110% behind me and my writing books. And my brother thinks I'm so cool for what I do. And I think he's so cool for what he does. I'm in a place in life where I am truly blessed to do what I do. And I feel even more blessed when I hear your story when you didn't even have internet access, but you still wanted to be an author. I mean, I just think that's magnificent. So that to me is a crazy hardship. Like we've had a lot of people on the show, but to not have internet, that's pretty, that's pretty hardcore.
Yeah. When I got back to Civilization, I had 5 books under me that were just doing nothing but sitting on a computer.
So you hadn't even published them yet?
No, and I sent a couple of query letters to agents, and of course my writing was rough, clearly. And then I saw this Amazon KDP publisher. I was like, well, let me clean these up as best I can, which wasn't nearly good enough, and throw them up there and see what happens. I just gotten out of the military, so I was going back to college to get a degree in my computer networking, which is what I was doing the last few years of my service. And threw those up there and was like, oh, wow, I sold some books. Oh, now they're starting to sell more and more. And then it's like, wow, cool.
I think, Andy, I know I'll shut up after this, but it does pertain to the topic.
You and I both know that that's not going to happen.
But I feel bad because I'm just taking over.
No, this is great.
Okay, and we are on the topic. I've noticed that I had such great success with the 4 territories that whenever I have a day that didn't perform as well as the day before, I feel like I should just quit as an author. And sometimes I just need to get punched in the face. And I'm like, dude, do you realize you have people reading your stuff and sometimes sending you emails about how wonderful they are? Take a step back and realize you have the coolest job in the world, And I think if anybody ever hits a hardship, so we're talking about when they hit that wall that they have to climb over, before you climb over the wall, look back at what all you've accomplished getting to this wall and then climb over it. And I have a problem doing this because I've always been an overachiever. I've always wanted more success, that I don't take time to look back and like, dude, look at all the stuff that you've accomplished in life. Relax, watch a movie, read a comic book, dude. Give yourself some air.
I know
And it's
my wife reminds me of that all the time. She's
yeah,
like, so this deadline, who's giving it to you?
exactly. That's my mom. Who's giving you this damn? I gave myself this deadline.
Yeah. And I totally get that overachiever thing. And I know the last couple of books I've launched, well, the Ragged Heroes anthology has been doing really good. I'm super happy with its success. But my own books, the last 2 books I've launched were underwhelming at best. And it's really hard to keep going. It's really hard to say,
It is.
all right, am I going to keep doing this? And I definitely keep doing it for the love of the art. But then there's still that question in my mind: am I, should I keep going? Should I do it? Am I good enough? I'm sure that's something that every author feels at some point or another, is that, am I good enough, whether it's at storytelling or marketing or advertising or whatever it is. And so it's funny because we're talking about how life isn't all happy endings, and basically the happy ending for any author is to launch this book. Like you start the story, you finish writing the story, you go through the editing process, you get the cover, you do the formatting, you've got this launch date in mind, and you put it up, and then for everybody else in the world, nothing happens. Only for you does it happen. That's your birthday, your book birthday as it is. But for everybody else, life goes on. And then a week afterward, life continues to go on. And then a month afterward, the life continues. And it's just like, just because the book's up there, it doesn't mean that everything's over. And so it's this strange cycle of always, trying to get a happy ending, as it were, with each new book that you launch. And if it doesn't do well, remembering that it's not the end of the world. You can launch another book. If it does great, then you can look forward to another happy ending. But then it's, part of being an author, being a big boy actually, is just learning to take those crappy days with the good ones. Like the topic says, it's not always happy endings. The book launch is the ending, doesn't always go well. Keep moving on, keep pushing forward, no matter what. And I think that is one of the main things that contribute to the success of a lot of authors like Brock. I'm sure a lot of your success was because you just kept putting books out. People just kept reading it because there was always more to read.
And if we look at Napoleon Hill's The Science of Getting Rich, or no, that's Wallace, Think and Grow Rich, persistence has its own chapter, right? That's how important persistence is. Brock, do you want to add anything to that?
No.
Okay, I just feel like I don't want.
I told Andy, is like I'm not very socially adept, so I don't know how much I'm going to be able to contribute here.
Don't worry, we're just pretending to be. We've had 50 episodes of practice pretending to be socially competent.
It's easy to forget that people sometimes it's new for people to come on the air and talk, and I've been doing it for so long. It also doesn't help that to get my degree in business, I had to get up and make speeches every single damn day, and I hated it, but I was good at it, which sucked because anytime I was put in a group, everybody knew who the marketer was going to be, who was going to give the pitch. And I was really like to the point where I was stressed. I remember getting in the shower one day and I was just like, man, I don't want to go to school tomorrow. I don't want to get up in front of all those pretty girls and talk. I didn't want to, because I always end up looking like a fool. Well, at least in my mind, because I was like, sometimes you didn't know the product so well, which was another wall that I hit, because I knew at the end of, I got the French degree and the business degree, that at the end of both of those, I had to give a 20-minute speech for both. And I didn't want to. I was slowly becoming more of an ambivert than an extrovert. And I'm not sure why that happened, but it definitely did happen. So that's another thing that I look back, I'm like, man, I accomplished a lot there, because getting up and talking in front of people is scary. And I think we also forget how hard it is to write a book. Writing a book is hard. I think some authors would say that it's easy because it is fun, but if you're trying to do it as a business, all three of us here know you have to get the cover, right? You have to get the editing. You have to do the formatting for print. You have to hit up your newsletters. You have to do newsletter swaps. You have to do promotions. Those are the big things. Then you have all the small things, the micro managing of, fan mail. If you get that one a week, but you haven't replied because you have to do all these other things, getting your audiobook ready. These are things that authors have to do on a daily basis, especially like Brock, since you have so many books. I bet you have a lot to do. And sometimes and I think the hardest part about writing a book is because the results are never set in stone. Not only that, if it is successful, it will slowly slow down. So I say give us a clap, clap for yourself, because it's a hard job to do. And when I first heard about what we're going to be talking about today, that life isn't all neat, happy endings, I thought it was just going to be that, like, so for some people, life just sucks and it's going to remain suckage, right? It's just going to be a high level of suck until you die. And then I read on and it was, no, it's going to be bad at some parts, but anything that is worth having is worth going through the process. And one last thing, and I'll shut up about personal development, and that is enjoy the process. No matter what you're doing, writing a book, becoming a firefighter, learning how to lift weights, losing body fat, working on your diet, getting your passport, enjoy the process, because that is how you become successful at anything, is by enjoying the process, by putting your heart into anything you do, and, keeping the end result in mind, but enjoying the process as well. And that was one of the big things I wanted to talk about today once I saw today's topic. If you don't know anything about Stevie Collier, I spend a good 2 hours a day on personal development, listening to it and teaching it to my friends and family. And that's another cool thing I'm doing. I'm going back to my middle school and I'm giving a speech to 8th graders.
That's so cool. About writing?
About writing and about success, how to be successful in life. Because,
that's awesome.
Yeah, I don't know if I should mention this, but I've actually had 2 roles on national television.
Really?
Yeah, so as an actor, before I was an author, I was an actor. And of course, I have to go from one high competition thing to the next. I just can't do something lower, something a little bit where success is a lot easier to achieve. But yeah, I was an actor. So I want to talk to kids like, hey, follow your damn dreams. All right. Don't let anybody tell you can't do this stuff. If you're hungry, you'll be fed.
Very cool.
Yeah, I feel like a monk now. Yeah. Okay, I'll shut up. So, Brock, we're going to be doing the reading of. Andy, was that on topic?
That was very on topic. Well,
I thought it was on topic. Thank you. So, could you tell us a little bit about the Sorcerer's Ascension series?
The series name is The Sorcerer's Path, and I think we're doing a reading of the book I just released, which is that continuation from when after I finished the series several years ago. It's called Rise of the Order, The Sorcerer's Rebirth.
Such a fantasy name.
Yeah.
So fantastical. I love it.
And what's funny is that a while back, not too long ago, recently, I was reading, someone had posted a review of The Sorcerer's Ascension on Goodreads, and he pretty much just accused me of ripping off Name of the Wind, except, poorly. And
oh, wow.
I was like, it's funny because I actually just started reading Name of the Wind.
Isn't that funny how that works?
This is like, that book was out 6 years before before I even read Name of the Wind. And so I just recently finished this Rise of the Order, and just as I finished Rise of the Order, I started reading I'm not going to pronounce this right, Persepolis Rising, the Expanse novel.
Andy?
Persepolis or Persepolis?
Something like that.
Is it a fantasy novel?
It's a sci-fi.
Sci-fi?
I think it's the latest book in the Expanse series.
Yeah, Persepolis Rising.
And I was like, oh crap, Rise of the Order is a fantasy version of Persepolis Rising. I wonder how long it's going to take somebody to accuse me of ripping that off. It's like, I just finished that book. But anyway, yeah. I'm sorry, what was the question?
Well, actually, I was really interested in what you were saying. I was wondering about your series, but I kind of want to talk about what you just said, which is another thing we authors have to deal with.
Parallel thought
Yeah.
is a monster. Every time I think I've done something original, I've even stopped creating quotes because I've come up with this brilliant quote, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Let me Google that first. No, Gandhi said that first.
Well, we actually, Andy and I talked about this last podcast, and that is, it's a big belief that all stories have already been created. It's just us putting our own twist on it. So, I mean, think about how many times Cinderella has been ripped off, or I don't know if you know what Zelda is, but it's him saving the princess. That's like the most classic. Even in my book, a princess gets rescued. Seriously, a princess gets rescued by an assassin. It's a ripoff of so many stories that have been written that I probably haven't even read. So honestly, if you hadn't even read the book, I would just ignore all that shit or stuff. But okay, so what? And we were talking about the sorcerer's path.
Yeah, the Sorcerer's Path. It starts out way back in book 1 as a young man of a good family. He loses everything, and along this path, he gains power through magic, and becomes a hero but flawed. And at the end of the 8th book, that's where he doesn't get the happy ending, and that really aggravated some people. He got sent back to where he needed to go because of the path that he chose to take or was forced to take. And so in the 9th book, this Rise of the Order, I bring him back, only to find that this new empire from across the sea has decided there can be no more gods but them. There can be no individual people but them. And they're just slowly taking over the entire world, every land, every people, and absorbing them. And that's what we're doing in that book. And of course, he's got to, once again, save the kingdom.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds awesome to me. I haven't read Name of the Wind, and I kind of am now refusing to because it's so popular. I've always been that guy, like if something's super popular, like I don't want to read it. I want to read the underdog stuff because I
exactly the same.
Really, yeah, I just don't read big stuff, and especially like if a new comic book guy is coming out, I always have this tendency to like want to go read the stuff, and I'm like, no, everybody's already reading that stuff now. I want to read something different. I've always been that kind of person. So, but wait, is Name of the Wind any good?
It took me 3 or 4 tries to actually get into that book.
Really?
And I kept quitting. The last time I quit, and someone's like, no, you've got to keep going. The last time I quit was like 1 chapter before it just like, oh, shit. Oh, man, this is good. Okay.
Really?
And then I couldn't stop. I was hooked. I was in deep. I was finding excuses to read, going to bed early so that I could read for an hour and a half.
God, don't you just love that feeling?
It is.
To have a good damn book, you're just like, yeah, I want to read it. I actually was like,
book didn't quite do it for me.
Really? Yeah, I'm not a big, like, I usually don't even finish series often, which is why I don't write big series. That's why the Dark Assassin series, which I just finished, is only going to be 3 books long. Anyway, so let's do the commercial. Andy, I didn't forget.
Good. Very
yes. I think. Thank you very much, Papa. Now let me just find the damn thing.
Yes. Classic Stevie.
Classic Stevie. Shut up, Andy, before I hurt you. Here's the commercial. Okay, so. Oh, great. You had to get the guy with the hard name. Justin De Paoli. Okay, I'm going to ruin that. De Paoli. Justana De Paoli. Okay, so this episode is brought to you by An Assassin's Blade, the complete trilogy by Justin De Paoli. Astul, assassin by day and purveyor of secrets at night, has agreed to hunt down a kingslayer. somewhat for the money, a little for the ego, and a bit for the adventure, but most likely for the money. There's just one problem. The Kingslayer's trail leads to a cache of disturbing secrets involving insane kings, mad queens, and kingdoms suddenly poised for a war to end all wars. People seem to be losing their minds, or rather, forfeiting them. Something harrowing lingers and lurks in the world of Misradal, and only an infamous assassin with a woeful reputation is aware. Action, suspense, and wickedly awesome characters. Everything you love about epic fantasy. An Assassin's Blade, the complete trilogy by Justin DePaoli. Read for free right now on Amazon Kindle Unlimited. And find out more about the author at justindepaoli.com. That's DEPAOLI, justindepaoli.com. They were supposed to have been hunted to extinction, but sometimes death is a myth. Man, who wrote that? Andy, did you write that?
That is taken from his blurb with a little bit of help from me.
That's beautiful. That was really good.
Thank you.
I thought
it's an awesome series. I've actually I reached out to him about cross promoting because his book has a lot in common with the Hero of Darkness series. He's awesome.
Actually, his book covers look really good too. Actually, so yeah, definitely go check out Justin DePaoli after you've looked up Brock. And so we're you like that, Brock?
Yeah, I'll take any shout out I can get.
Hey, Brock, do you realize that your name is like a really popular Pokemon name?
I have seen it.
You have? Okay, good. I was just making sure.
I don't know anything about Pokemon.
I used to be addicted to that.
Stevie, you should know that it's a Venom name as well.
Brock?
Eddie Brock.
Oh, yeah. See, I thought Flash was the first Venom.
Flash Thompson?
Yeah, wasn't he the first Venom?
I'm going to look that up because I don't think so. I think it was someone else.
I hope I beat you at some kind of comic book trivia one time.
So Spider-Man is the first one.
Okay, that makes sense.
The symbiote. Then it's Eddie Brock.
Okay.
Then Matt Gargan. Flash Thompson is one of the latest incarnations.
Oh, okay. Well, that's probably why I know, because I am not that good at comic book stuff, but I will be.
We were talking about Venom last week, where Stevie's super excited about the story, and you guys were talking about how Spider-Man should be the hero of the story and Venom's the villain. But the Flash Thompson version of Venom is actually a hero in its own right. Sort of like an anti-hero / hero where the Venom character is sort of an antagonist and Flash Thompson is like a hero. So it's this sort of push and pull between the two of them.
Oh, is Flash the guy who joins the army as Venom? He loses his arms and his legs. Yeah, I actually have that comic and it's super sick. And the reason why I like Venom is because it is basically the Brock, you'll like this. I wrote this antagonist before I even ever read anything about Venom, and it's like the same thing. It's seriously the same thing. It even has the heinous voice inside the guy's head. It's like they stole this idea from me, but somehow in the future. So we are going to be reading from Brock. What is the title of the book again?
Rise of the Order.
Rise of the Order. And so what we do, Brock, is we have the author actually give the roles to Andy and I, and you could play a role if you want, or you could just read the narrator. It's up to you.
I don't have it up right now.
Oh, okay, yeah. It starts with pack whatever you can't bear to part with. We're leaving. Yeah. Do you remember the characters that are in it?
I do. There's only 3. Well, there's now I can't remember my character names. Davian. Davian is Azric, which is the main character. He's the sorcerer. It's his son. Davian is Azric's son, and he's always been contentious. People really hated him in the early series, and hopefully I made him a little more tolerable in this one.
Perfect for Andy.
I was just thinking that.
So Andy can play Damien?
Davian.
Okay.
And his wife, Alyssa. Those are the 2 right in the beginning. And then you have...
I'll be Alyssa.
In the order comes in and basically comes to his little island where he's been kind of hanging out for the last decade.
Okay. If you don't have it pulled up, I can do the narrator and Alyssa. How's that? And
I think I've got it here.
okay, do you want to be the narrator then?
Order snippet. Yeah, here we go. Narrator. What do you want me to narrate?
So you say everything that we aren't saying. So you even say the he said, the she
Okay.
said.
The narrative.
Yeah. So Andy, do you want to
Not
play
the
the
dialogue.
guy and the other character, and I'll play Elisa?
Sure.
Okay. And before we start, let me just point this out. Like, we are one of the only podcasts that does something so amazing like this. This is actually really cool, very unique, and so fantastical. Am I right? So freaking awesome that we're actually doing something like this. And I just want to say that's something really cool that we bring into the world. Okay. So let me pull it back up. All right. So who is saying this first line?
Me, Davian.
That's Davian.
Okay.
You want me to set the scene?
Yes.
Yeah, please.
Okay. So Davian is the governor basically of this island. He kind of is a quasi pirate. It's more of a hobby, but he's
Can I
been
read
he's
him
kind
like a pirate?
no he's a little more highbrow, not but kind of shitty.
Okay.
But the reason why he's so aggravated is because he went on his morning routine and he just now discovered that he's created a routine, and and everybody knows exactly what he's doing, where he's going, what he's going to do next, and he's just livid about it because he's always been kind of an instrument of chaos. And so to find out that he's actually become predictable and a routine just has driven him nuts, and he's like, okay, that's it, we're done. We're out.
Very cool. And the other character I'm reading, the soldier.
Soldier?
He's just a classic soldier character.
Yeah, I kind of modeled him after the Romans, clearly.
Okay.
So he's going to be not like the crude, gruff soldier, but he's more just dominating, self-righteous kind of soldier.
Sounds good. Right up my alley.
You know, he's a
All right.
high-ranking officer.
Yep. Perfect.
Right.
And Alyssa's right up my alley.
Here we go, guys. Pack whatever you can't bear to part with. We're leaving.
Alyssa looked up from her book.
Leaving? Whatever for? This has been our home for 10 years.
Which is several years too long. We've become complacent and
Davian held his hand over his stomach and made a sickly face.
predictable.
What are you going on about?
He waved his hand around the room.
Everyone on this island knows what I'm going to do and when I'm going to do it. They smile and wave and ask me about my breakfast or my swim or taking my ship around the island. It's sickening. I'm sickening.
Alyssa smiled, stood, and wrapped her arms around him.
You are a good leader, and the people love you. It's their way of showing they appreciate you.
Davian scowled.
I should set fire to the whole damn island and show them just how much I appreciate them. I bet they won't predict that.
Oh, you're being ridiculous, and you will not set fire to the island or anything else.
I still refuse to stay here one more minute. I have become what I despise most. My father. He had his tower, and now I have this stupid island. He had Rusty and his wizardly sycophants, and I have these pirates and fishermen all bowing and scraping. And morning, Governor. Nice day, Governor. Going for a swim, Governor. It's Friday after all.
Davian stepped away from his wife and shook his finger in her face.
No, it's moving day.
Where are we going to go?
We'll go west, like we've been doing. We'll find a new land and new people for me to rule. And this time, they will be properly respectful, and I won't be so damn predictable.
These people do respect you.
But it's respect without the underlying hint of fear. Without it, it's meaningless.
Alyssa let out an exasperated sigh.
You're being ridiculous.
No, I'm being unpredictable.
He turned toward the door and shouted.
Bradley!
A man dressed in a Chris Stewart's uniform appeared.
Yes, sir.
Get a few men together and have them move mine and my wife's belonging on to the Dark Shard.
Very good, sir. And how long should I expect you to be gone?
Hurrah! We are not coming back.
But you are the governor.
Davian stepped up to the man, removed the seal of office from around his neck, and held it out.
Now you're the governor. Congratulations.
Davian!
Alyssa started to say, but a bell rang in town, its klaxon cutting her off. She cocked her head and narrowed her eyes.
That's the warning bell.
Impossible.
Davian replied.
No one has been stupid enough to attack my island in years.
So, it's your island again? I thought Bradley was the governor now.
Davian pursed his lips.
It appears I may have acted hastily. Bradley, do you mind if I resume my duties until I have dealt with whatever this is?
It would be my pleasure, sir.
Davian slipped the seal of office back around his neck and let it dangle on the outside of his shirt.
Wife, are you prepared to greet our uninvited guests?
Alyssa slid a wand into the belt around her waist and adjusted the magical rings and bracelets she wore.
I am. Let's go see what all the fuss is about.
The pair left the house and walked toward the town square. The island was not large, only about 20 square miles, and the town housed just a few hundred residents with a few score more on outlying farms and plantations. There was a sense of urgency in the citizens' furtive movements as they ran toward their homes and away from whatever was causing the commotion. Davian looked up at the sky when a large shadow raced across the ground as if cast by an enormous bird or small dragon. Shielding his eyes with his hand, he saw a man astride a strange vehicle with short, fixed wings circling over the town.
Well, you don't see that every day,
He remarked.
Nor them.
Alyssa said as she pointed toward the town square. A squad of soldiers stood in orderly ranks. Gleaming helmets, greaves, breastplates, and bracers atop bare skin or leathers comprised their armor. The metal appeared to be bronze with silver inlaid designs. Alyssa knew at a glance the sigils were more than mere ornamentation. She could sense that the pieces were imbued with strong magic. The soldiers wielded short spears and bucklers, both made of the same materials and design as their armor. Most of the soldiers were dark-skinned, ranging from deep tan to almost black, with dark, straight hair sticking out from under their helmets. But the variety in some of the men's features hinted at a match of nationalities. As the couple approached, another vehicle, looking like a wagon but hovering about a foot off the ground, appeared and disgorged its load of another 20 soldiers. It was made of the same metal as the people's armor, and the silver runes set into its surface glowed with power. Alyssa marked the driver, an older man shackled to the device as a mage. His chains radiated magic, and a shudder ran up her spine.
I'm certain no one predicted this,
She said. A tall, muscular man stepped to the fore, his skin the color of dark walnut beneath his silver armor. He bore no weapons other than a dagger sheathed at his hip and a small, silver, rune-scribed buckler strapped to each forearm. His eyes traveled across the group of townfolk gathered before him and settled on Davian and Alyssa.
I am Ordinator Bojan Archelaus. Are you the leader of these people?
He asked, his voice deep and his words clipped. Davian glanced over his shoulder and found that scores of his people had gathered behind him, many gripping weapons in their hands or touching the hilts of the blades strapped on their hips.
I am Davian Giles, governor of this island and its people. What brings you and your soldiers to my home, Ordinator Archelaus?
The soldier's eyelids narrowed to slits as he studied Davian.
Your eyes. Captivating, I know.
Oh, Davian replied with a smirk.
Are you a demon spawn? A warlock? I have no idea what a warlock is. As far as being demon spawn?
Davian shrugged.
I'm told I get them from my father. Unless you want to discuss my other extraordinary physical endowments, I ask again, what do you want here? I come bearing the gift of the Order and the peace, security, and prosperity that comes with it. All you need do is swear fealty to the Order and recognize Emperor Leontius Attar and Empress Noella Attar as your divine rulers, and your lives will continue much as before. As to your peculiar features, the Inquisitors will determine your status. I see. So because of my eyes, I get handed over to some uptight men with hot pokers and other contraptions of sadistic entertainment. And what manner of festivities do my people get to enjoy under your peaceful and prosperous rule?
The Ordinator stood straighter, his tone and gaze imperious, as if ordained by the gods to deliver their judgment upon mortals.
1 in 5 able-bodied men are afforded the glory of joining the Legion to help purge the world of the foul beasts plaguing it these last 20 years. Any who possess magical talent are conscripted into the Legion and hold special positions within its ranks.
Davian glanced at the older man who appeared to be chained to the floating troop wagon.
I see this special position you afford them. It looks more like slavery.
Alyssa shook her head, her face a mask of suppressed fury.
It is far worse than slavery. It is worse than death.
Only the godly emperor and empress and their children are trusted with unrestricted access to arcane power. Magic is too dangerous and tempting to be left unfettered in the hands of lesser beings.
Davian said,
As great as all that sounds, I'm afraid we must decline your generous offer. My people are not fond of rules and stricture, and your order looks as though rules abound. But you and your men are welcome to rest here and enjoy whatever services my people offer, as long as you can pay, of course.
The dark-skinned man's eyes hardened.
You mistake my meaning. There is only the order and enemies of the order. You do not want to be my enemy, Governor. Kneel to the Empire, and as long as you are not a warlock or other abomination, you will retain your position. And my wife? She is a wizard, yes? The law requires her to be forever shackled and conscripted into the Legion for a term of 10 years.
Like hell?
Alyssa seethed as she began to draw power.
Well, you heard the lady. It's time for you to leave. You will yield, or we will break you. There is only the order. You can join the order or die. Those are your options.
Davian gripped the sword sheathed at his side.
I know nothing about your order, but I am quite familiar with death. You can go play tin soldier somewhere else, or join the line of people who can kiss my taut, supple arse. Those are your options.
Ordinator Arcalus matched Davian's grim look.
After I carve your black eyes from your skull, I will put your woman in chains and conscript your people. There is only the order. You think that because you have never met true chaos. Allow me to introduce you.
Davian's sword leapt from its scabbard and whistled toward the small gap between the Ordinator's helmet and pauldron. The blow should have been as decisive as it was swift, but Bojan's arm came up, and a violet ring of energy the size of a round shield surrounded the silver buckler strapped to his left forearm. Enchanted steel met arcane shield. Amethyst sparks flew from the impact, knocking Davian back on his heels. Purplish blue energy leapt from the Ordinator's right bracer, this one in the shape of a longsword. Bojan held the shimmering apparition aloft in salute.
There is the order, or there is death. You have given me your decision, and I accept it. End of reading. I love that bit, or there is the only the order and enemies of the order. That reminded me of Star Wars. Well done.
I was wondering why that seemed familiar. I can't believe you stole it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing with you.
If you knew me, you shouldn't be surprised at all. Apparently, I ripped off Name of the Wind, too.
Yeah. We rip everything off everything. I have to say, I haven't laughed from a reading or a book in a long time, so that was refreshing.
There was some great witticism.
Yeah,
from Davian.
I had my eyes actually watered up a little bit. Davian is hilarious. I love him.
Oh, you should take a look at my Transcended series.
Is that what he's in?
No, it's an extreme version of that.
Really? I thought
it's. I recently started doing the audiobooks for my books, and two of the most recent ones were the two Transcended books, and I was in tears as I'm listening to my narrator, as you know, I'm proofing his work, and I'm just dying laughing at myself.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting saying, I am so funny.
That's so well, Davian is really well crafted. I thoroughly enjoyed this reading.
Yeah, I liked him as a character, but some readers didn't. But then he was pretty awful in the previous books. So
he reminds me of Tony Stark, just so rash and just makes a decision, boom, right there. He's going no matter what the consequences are. Not sure if you're familiar with Iron Man, the Iron Man movies.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, it just reminds me of when Tony Stark, goes off to go racing instead of the racers, in Iron Man 2.
That's
It's
actually
like
a pretty good comparison. I never really thought of it before.
it's just totally like Tony Stark. He's just like, oh, boom, I'm gonna go do something no matter what. Seriously, this guy is going to stop being king because he's in a routine and people know his routine. That's crazy.
And burn down the whole island. Don't forget that.
Oh, he's gonna kill everybody. Amazing. Great job, Brock. In fact, I might have to. You've inspired me. I want to create a character like that now. I do. So
now we're ripping you off, Brock.
Yeah, now we're ripping off you. Yeah.
What do they say? Imitation is a serious form of flattery.
It is.
Form of flattery.
Yeah.
Feel free.
Thanks, man.
Just drop my name when you do it. That's all I ask for. That's what I told people when I went on a torrent site and found my books. I went on there and said, hey, you know what? Go on Amazon, leave a review, and I'll consider yourself paid in full.
Oh, that's actually a really good idea because all of my audiobooks are on Pirate Bay.
Oh, are they?
So, yeah, they're all
I
on
haven't even
there.
looked for my audiobooks. Like I said, I just started doing audiobooks.
Yeah. They actually have reviews on them too, and I'm just like, what? Go leave a review on Amazon, damn it. Come on.
Right?
Give me that at least. So, all right. So, Brock, where can people find you?
In a small town on the top of a mountain in Oregon.
Oh, yeah. All right. I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah. You mean like online?
Yeah. So, I know it's brockdeskins.com, right?
Yeah, that's my website.
Seriously, your website kicks ass. Is
It's
this
better.
Wix?
I spent some freaking money on it.
Yeah, it's really good. Is this Wix?
No, it's just WordPress.
Wow, it's like one of the better WordPress websites I've seen. So good job.
I can't really take credit for it. I hired a guy.
So you paid for it, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was my tax write-off.
You're a top 50 fantasy author?
I was back in 2012, 2013. I mean, I hit 7,000, 8,000 books in a month sales.
Dude, that is amazing.
My peaks were nice. I was hitting very low double digits there in the fantasy
Brock
thing. So I figured out, you know what, I'll just throw that in there. I'm lying today, but it was true once.
No, seriously, you still are, Brock. You still are a top 50 fantasy author. I mean, come on. You earned it. Great job. That is so cool. You're an inspiration.
I'm like an aging actress. I was beautiful once.
That's great. You know, the good thing about being an author, though, is you don't have to be pretty to do it. So no one knows, if you're going to die tomorrow or whatever. So
it certainly helps if you're pretty.
Yeah. Oh, thank God. No, just kidding. So Andy, and who are we having next Thursday?
Someone super awesome.
Me?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
No, it's someone awesome, but I don't remember offhand.
Yeah, we have so many people that come on there. It's cool. Brock, I had a blast, and I speak for Andy. I know we had a blast talking to you today. I'd love to get you back on the show. So, next time you have a new release, we're booked up till the end of the year. So please get a hold of Andy if you would like to be back on the Fantasy Fiends podcast. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, it's fun. This is my second podcast ever.
Awesome, man. This is, I think, my 51st. So thank you so much, and really appreciate it. And really love the reading. Andy, you got anything to add?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and end it here. Listeners, viewers, please hit that like and subscribe button. Please leave a review on iTunes. That helps us out so much, and we'd really, really appreciate it. We hope you have an amazing day. Remember that you are awesome. We really hope to see you next time on another fantastical episode of the Fantasy Fiends podcast. Thank you so much, Brock, for being here. Good night.